Well, hi. Thanks for
Hello.
being here. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I feel I've been such a fan of your music for so long. I'm surprised it took us this long to come around to meeting one another.
Yes,
but
it's true.
About time.
Back and forth across Canada, just missing each other on the highways, I guess.
Yeah, I think I've seen your name on the same festivals and stuff like that, but it never really have made the connection. Congrats on the record, by the way.
Thank you.
Mike, I want to start with you. You wrote the songs in the album. You said it's a deeper and more complete record than you've ever made. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Well, thanks for coming in.
I just wrote it in the bio.
It sounded good.
Yeah, it's good. It's just like, I need something for the bio, man. Okay. I think it's just, from a lyrical point of view, for me, it was very focused on a combination of personal and social issues that somehow came together in my life and in the world around me, and I was able to I feel I was able to capture them in the lyrics, and so that's why there's a depth to it, because there's a personal side to it and a social side to it, and our political side, which is kind of different for us. Usually we deal mainly in the personal side of things. So I guess that's why I feel it's deeper, because there's more avenues you can go down.
That's interesting, because you would be you'd be forgiven for making an incredibly quote unquote political record at
These
this time.
days, yeah.
For watching CBC or watching CNN and reacting to everything that's going on around you. But there's almost something kind of timeless when you're able to fuse the two together.
Well, that's
right?
the thing. I think if it's strictly political, and some strictly political songs are brilliant and they last forever, but they tend to capture the moment, but they kind of disappear after a while, or they don't capture you on a deeper level. And so, to me, any song has to have a sort of a personal side to it. It has to reach you somehow personally, and connect with the listener on a personal level, and then you can expand from there. But to me, that's always the key to writing a song, is that the personal exploration.
So I mean, and I don't want to go too far into the process here, but you say you're listening to the news, you're watching the news, you're reading something, and a story affects you, and then you sit down, and then do you think about how that story relates to your own life? Like, what's the process by which it begins?
It's not necessarily direct like that. It's more like, I think these days, part of it is where I am in my life, and where my family is, and where my kids are growing up and leaving the house, and parents are getting older, and then going out and then going out into the world, the kids going out into the world, and I sort of look at the world around me, and you can't avoid it these days, and what a weird place it is. So it's more sort of like this combination of events going on the outside and events going on the inside, and how they connect, and how they affect you. So,
Margot, all that song we just heard, the All That Reckoning Part 1. So there's a second version, which is louder, which I'll say is a little bit angrier. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say.
So compare and contrast those two things for me. Why have those two kind of moments on the record?
Well, for me as a singer, it's and how I sing, how I approach a song is just from my emotional side of me, and that changes like everybody's viewpoint. Some days you're softer and more gentle and introspective, and other days you're just really angry and pissed off and want to yell and scream. And I think that on stage we've always played the way we felt. A song from night to night will change. We've always been open that way. And so when we were doing All That Reckoning, there was definitely two ways to approach that song, which is, again, just from that loss of connection with with either the world or somebody significant, however you want to look at it. And there's that softer loss, or there's that anger and frustration. And I think if anybody's been in a serious relationship, they've experienced all those feelings of, you're just so frustrated when things aren't going right, or you're just so desperately sad about it. So that's why we put both in. And again, what Mike's saying is, you can look at it from a personal place or a one-on-one smaller world, or you can look at it from the bigger world, where sometimes I look at what's going on in the world and I'm really so sad and desperate about it, and the other times I'm just really angry and I want to go beat some people up.
Yeah, you want to be like the Luddites going around with the big boot.
Don't you see what's happening?
Taking out the generators. I get it.
So that's and I love that about songs, that you can approach them from how you feel that day, and they do change. They're organic. They don't have to always be exactly the same.
What do you need from Mike in terms of a song, outside of the song itself? Like when you guys talk about the songs, I'm wondering, do you then ask the questions that I would ask? Like, what's the deeper meaning here, or is there a? Because you have to let it out there.
Definitely, it's funny. Mike has always been, the songwriter, and this is his song, and he's expressing it from his place, and then he hands it over, and then it's up to me to figure my way into the song, and then it goes to the next step. It's up to the listener to bring their life to it and hear it, and that's great. And allows me to have complete interpretation of it and bring myself into the song. Sometimes it's really frustrating because if I'm lost and I have no idea how to get into the song, I'll ask him, "What's this about?" And sometimes he'll tell me, and other times he won't. So yeah, sometimes it works, and sometimes I wish he'd tell me. And then years later, I'll have been singing the song for a long time and go, "Oh, I think I get it now."
That's the goal. I can tell Mike nodding his head. That's the slow build.
Exactly. It must be frustrating on his part. It's only taken me 4 years. So I figured it out.
It took me 23 years, but I finally figured out what that song is about. Mike, has the process changed? I mean, you guys have been doing this, almost 30 years together now?
Not terribly. There's still sort of the song kind of germinating with me, then going to Margot, and then to the band as a whole, and then it grows from there. As you said, on stage, it goes to another place, and that's sort of generally the same avenue it goes down. With this record, though, there was a lot. Alan, our bass player, was involved with just giving me a lot of complicated bass lines, and so I which I asked for, and he came up with some great lines, and which I then built songs around. So it was a bit different. Rather than me just sitting down with a blank piece of paper and my acoustic guitar, I wanted somebody to sort of point a direction, and I'll do that with some. So he basically provided some rhythms and some changes and a bit of structures, and I built off that. But it's kind of same idea basically. I would then build the songs from there, and then Margot, and then the rest of the band would come in. So it's kind of been the same, And even in the studio, we kind of, we've done different styles of recording, but generally we like to capture the band as live as we can on the floor, just playing together. And often we too want to take songs before we record them out on the road and play them a bit, and just get more familiar with them, So that's kind of just generally been our approach to all our records in a way, even though the end result might be different, but that's a post thing as opposed to the way we actually record them.
Including the one 30 years ago, the Trinity Session record.
Very, very much so. That was very much, that was our template really, all those songs we worked those on the road for a year before we recorded them. So when we went to record Trinity Session, sure, it took us a day to record it, but we've been working on those songs for a year.
Yeah.
So it was a good day, but it wasn't just it wasn't like we walked in and recorded them. We've been playing them for a while.
I know. I sometimes feel about you guys like I feel like Bon Iver, which is that I wanted to thank you for your music and also strangle you because of how many bad records I've had to sit through. They were like, we're just inspired by Trinity Session. We put ourselves in a church for a day and put up a microphone and saw what came out. I was like, I don't really think you understand what they did.
Exactly.
I don't think you understand that it was a tiny bit more complicated than that.
Forevermore, we've been put in churches when we play live. It's just like, oh my God, it's the worst acoustics in the world for a live band is at a church. Believe me, we just happened to find the one church in the world that could control a bass drum and an electric
they're
bass.
all so excited.
They're all so excited. Yeah, we got you in the church. Oh God!
Headline: Cowboy Junkies tired of church. It's happened. Margot, did you think 30 years ago you'd still have someone like me asking questions about this record?
No. 30 years ago when we put out White Soft Earth Now, which was our first album, the one before Trinity Session, I can remember holding that record when we first got it, out of the box, and think, whoa, this is so cool, I have a record, and kind of thinking, I have a record, maybe I'll have another one, but never thought I'd have a career that lasted 30 years, and when we play those churches, I'm often kind of in awe that people keep coming to our shows and we keep doing what we do. It's kind of odd.
Well, we were talking about that the other day. We were talking about how you guys, because it's the same lineup too.
Yeah. Same
Unchanged.
Yep.
And this is how dumb I can be. Is that I was talking about it and I said, well, the reason they're probably together for so long, unchanged, is that they're siblings. And I thought to myself, no, that's the exact opposite. That's the reason that bands don't work out. Like that's exactly. Do you have any? I mean, what a strange thing to ask somebody. Do you have any?
Yeah, bands are like, any sort of relationship. They have their moments where they're sort of falling apart and we're angry with each other. But I think again, like a good relationship, when you're sort of at the point where you kind of feel you're losing something, you look at what you're losing. And I think the Junkies and our playing together is so important to all of us that we never allow it to get to the point that one of us is going to stomp away and not come back, And again, because the playing is still just as much fun as it was 30 years ago, if not more fun, because I think we're better players now, so we can do more and go with it more than we did back then. And I think as you get older too, you need your music more as you're raising kids and stuff. So it's really important to us. So we never allow it to go to the crazy place. But yeah, certainly we get sick of each other.
Without a doubt. I mean, I wasn't going to.
Any band in the world gets sick of each other.
Yeah.
Right? So.
You got to do it, right? I mean, that's the thing. I remember my first ever 4-week tour, which is really not that long,
still,
but just long enough that every single individual person got annoyed with another individual person for at least an hour.
Oh, you got it.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
But you also too, as you get older and you've been doing it for 30 years, you get used to even the road, like how to just. I mean, now. Again, compared to a relationship, you sort of get used to each other's moods, your husband or your wife or whatever, and you learn how to, shake it off, walk away, not take it personally, and do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So I find that gets easier too. When you're younger, you're a little bit more hot-blooded.
I'm trying to figure out how to say this without it sound insulting, because I don't mean it insulting, but I feel like also like the core of the music that you make hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. The first time I heard Cowboy Junkies, I thought to myself, I've never heard anything that sounds anything like this. And at no point in me investigating your music and listening to your music did I hear anything that didn't sound like Cowboy Junkies.
No, it's true. It's not insulting. To me, that's a real positive. It's some people have in a review will write it as a negative. To me, that's a real positive thing. It's very rare in this day and age, or in any day and age really, for a band to have a sound that is immediately identifiable as that band's sound. You immediately know that's Cowboy Junkies when you hear that. And that's and that's just as stupid as it sounds. That's the four of us playing together. That's just how we connect and how we relate on a musical level, and it's always been that way. And it's even though our styles our individual styles might change slightly, we still relate in the same kind of way. Like we still play off each other the same way, and that's why. And also that comes down to how we record, because that's we record live as we can. Therefore, you get that sort of interaction, and it's always been really key. That's, I think, for us. The four of us were music fans before musicians, and I think that's the sort of music that always sort of inspired us.
Like one.
And anything, like all those great early '70s records, those classic Stones records, or Miles records, or the great blues records, or the Waylon records, or there's tons, like just those great records where you just feel the band, you feel the presence of the musicians.
Even I mean, Mike and Al and I are of the age where we went through that whole punk scene. It's all
that
great,
stuff.
Punk bands. At the in the day, and it was just so live and real and different every night, and so that even though we're not a punk band, but that core,
that's
that real spirit.
Yeah, I've always kind of thought of you guys that way.
It's crazy.
1, 2, 3, 4. I thought about it. That's the fastest I've ever heard anything come out of you guys. But it's funny, I was playing last night. I mean, and again, no disrespect to people. Most of my friends, my partner, for God's sake, makes music in a very sort of like part at a time and sends out different things. But I was playing last night in the East End of Toronto. It was me, and so I play Irish music, and it was me and 9 other people. And at one point, I had the sense to look up and go, oh my God. And I felt like, when it's really hot and you see the steam, not so much the steam, but sort of the waves coming off the pavement. I said there is sort of, and Emily Haynes this morning from Metric on this show said the exact same thing. She said There's something about when your band actually plays together that there's like the energy is
Totally.
made. It's floating around you. And you
I mean,
feel
that's what music is. I mean, that's the essence for sure.
it's so nice to talk to you guys.
Thank you.
I'm
Thanks
such
for
a
having us.
fan.
It's so great to be here.